Hi, welcome back to Spirit Lounge. I hope you guys are really well and having a good weekend again. Okay, so today I want to talk about where knowing comes from. What is knowing? We'll touch on a couple of things there, and I'm going to make this video again short, 15 minutes. Try to keep it down to that. So hope you guys will persevere. So I want to break it all down and lead up to wisdom. And we want to go through a few levels and layers of what wisdom or knowing actually is. And the first layer is quite a divisive layer. It's a layer from which we view each other and we discriminate against each other. It's a layer where we deem our opinion is better than somebody else's. It's a sphere of being and a pedestal from which we view ourselves. We build our own egos and we judge others. We judge others on what they say and the merits of what they say by this pedestal we put ourselves on. And what is that pedestal? It's intellect or intelligence, intellectualism, if you like. And what does that actually mean, intellect and intelligence? Well, intelligence itself is, or the mind, is a repository of knowledge, information, data, whatever we call it, what we wish. And we judge ourselves on this pedestal we place ourselves on various levels, like an Olympic three-tier level of gold, silver and bronze, if you like, on how much knowledge we have, how intelligent we are. And we judge others, we look down on others, just as we look down on others in socio-economic ways, where they live, what they look like, how we perceive each other. We judge each other on levels and layers. And intelligence is one of the most prevalent and dominating pedestals and layers of building up to wisdom that we have today. The world we experience today, we're judging each other on perceptions and ideas that we have based on, well, that person must be wrong because I'm more intelligent than that person. I know more than that person, therefore I must be right. Intelligence is just knowledge. What knowledge have you accumulated, or data have you accumulated, and from which sources we deem ourselves to be better than the other? And so that's where I see intelligence. Intelligence is just an accumulation of information, of knowledge, of data from various sources. It doesn't make that data or knowledge or information right. It just means we host it. We have volumes of it. Some people have no interest in accumulating data or knowledge from various places or information, and therefore we deem them less intelligent because they're not able to bring forward information and knowledge of things that others find important. So this is a layer of ego. It's an absolute layer of ego. The mind is a great seat of ego, and that's one place. Then we have the next layer of intellect. What's intellect? Well, intellect for me is the processing of that data through ideas, through philosophies, through logic, through theories, through ideologies. It's the use of it. It's to look at things in various paradigms or spheres of perception. We all look at information differently and process it differently, and through that ability to process information, or that expanded state of mind to process, not only to host information but then to process that information, I deem as intellect. Again, this is all seated in the mind, and it's another level of ego that we can either demonstrate. We can have it with humility. We can host intelligence and intellect. So we can host intelligence, which is the accumulation of knowledge, information and data in the mind, and our ability to process it through our ideologies, our lateral thinking, our logic, rationality, ideology, philosophy of that information and data through intellect. We can either host those through ego, and elevate ourselves beyond others and dismiss others who we deem are lesser than us through mind, and those two states or layers of self that that builds our ego, or we can hold it in humility, and we can use those expansive states of mind with humility and the ability to see that we may be wrong as well, against those who we deem as not hosting so much information, not knowing the various states of logic or theory in which to process that information. I personally have met the most wise people I've met in life today are those who don't call themselves professors and doctors, are the most humble people, yet actually sometimes the most intellectual and intelligent people that I've ever met, because they hold wisdom, which is very, very different, manifestly different to intellect and intelligence. So that's the base layer when you can build up to wisdom. Most of humanity reside and hosted in the layer of the mind. The majority of humanity, in my experience, are in the mind of intelligence and intellect, which is wrapped around in one description of intellectualism, egoistic intellectualism. And what that does when it's not tempered, when it's not addressed and not realized, I suppose, identified as a problem, as a barrier, then it will block the other two layers, which I'm going to discuss now, from being brought into perception and for the person to move into. And this is in an important state. The mind is actually a distracted state from the spiritual expanded state of universal infiniteness, or the divine unity of which we all are. And the next stage of that which is blinded to absolute mind intellectualism is knowing. Now, I was asked recently, where does knowing come from? Well, it comes from the heart and the spirit. This is the state we need to move into from the mind. I talk about it endlessly and repeat it ad nauseum on almost all of my videos. So apologize if I'm becoming irritating again and repeating it. But it's critically important. Moving into knowing is creating the trinity of the spirit, the heart, and the mind as a unified one. And through that trinity, through that combination of moving from here to the spirit and the heart, is creating a trinity, and which will then bring in expanded states of awareness and perception, expanding ourselves outward into the universal infinite possibility of infinite perception and knowing. And that knowing is all knowledge. It's knowledge and information that exists in this universe of all that we are, all that has ever been, will be, will never be. All possibility exists in the infinite book which resides within. So when we move away from mind and we settle and we are still, through meditation, through various other practices that may resonate with each of us differently, and we pass through differently, and maybe walk through stepping stones. Some of us may not practice meditation at all. Some of us may do yoga. Some of us may do mindfulness and move from mindfulness to other practices. It really doesn't matter which ones we choose to move to the state of knowing. What knowing is moving from intellectual states of mind into infinite states of universal knowing from the heart and spirit, opening up that infinite book within, which gives you access to understand the nature of existence. Real existence, not physical existence of the material and of the mind, what we can measure, what we can know, what we can quantify through experiments in technology or AI or wherever it may be. It is infinite states of divine knowing, divine universal presence. That's what knowing is. Knowing is just the intuitive state of the solar plexus, the intuitive and spiritual infinite state of the spirit combined with the heart, the feeling body, the resonating energetic state from within, connecting to the universe and allowing the universe to allow you to help us to open up that access to the infinite portal of information, which is actually within us. We access what is already within us because we are a fractal of the universe, and everything that is out there is actually within us, within our spiritual selves, and that is knowing. That is where the ascetics and the prophesizers of the world have come and gone over thousands of years are accessing their information. It's through moving themselves away from mind to the aesthetic, moving themselves into the spiritual, moving themselves into the esoteric, moving themselves into the metaphysical. It's moving away from the mind and the ego. Critically, to move into the knowing state of infinite awareness is to temper the ego, and is to put the mind as a partner but not the lead or the prime of the source of knowing. Knowing is just receiving information through energetic state. Information is just energy. It's processed from within us and through our minds, but it's received through the heart and the spirit. Infinite knowing is received there, so you can intuitively know what's about to come. You can intuitively know where humanity may be going. I was asked this question because I was giving my perceptions of where I think modern humanity is about to go, and I suppose knife edge we're on right now in terms of where we wish to take this world, which is what I'm about to come to. But that's going to come from knowing. You speak when those who speak those words are doing that from the emotional state of knowing. And what's the next layer of that? Well, that's wisdom. What's wisdom? Well, wisdom is taking all of the states of intellectualism, the mind and the intellect, information and processing and rationale, logic, the infinite states of knowing through the trinity of the heart, the mind and the spirit, and then combining all of that through infinite source itself and multiple incarnated lives and tendency into wisdom. Wisdom, it does not come with age. Wisdom comes through experience. And it's not just through this lifetime that wisdom is developed. It's developed through multi-incarnational lifetimes. We bring in the wisdom that we accumulated before. We'll practice and have to resolve the tendencies that we've resolved and unresolved, and yet to experience from before. We'll bring in the expanded states of mind, intellectualism, intellect, knowing, from what we've achieved before. And this all accumulates through multi-incarnational life as developing wisdom. That is what the gurus profess to have. That is what the Buddhists profess to have. That is what the wise profess to have. That is why a child can come into life and be wise and more knowing than its parents. Why? It's not because of age. It's because the child has brought in wisdom and expansion from previous states of incarnational life beyond in which their parents have achieved. That the child's parents have achieved. Just because we're older than someone doesn't make us more wise. More wisdom has come from a child's mouth than adults these days. Because they perceive the world not through the programmed states of what most adults are in these days, or the herded consciousness that we're all in. Children perceive things and still process things through the trinity of the mind, the heart and the spirit, through their innocence, which Western will continue for a lot longer. They're wise through the incarnational experiences, but also the fact that the trinity of the heart, mind, and the spirit still exists. As we get older, we become less wise. We move into the mind and just become intellectual. And that is the path that we need to break. We need to move into back into our knowing states and our wise states, and to start developing that in life rather than trying to see how clever we are. Now this drops into the next thing I'm about to say, and I'll say it really quickly. The world is changing around us. And I'm going to leave you with this comment. Are we going to allow the world to change through our egoistic intellectualism? Are we going to allow the world to follow where we wish to go through infinite knowing, through the Trinity of the heart, the mind and the spirit? Or are we going to force upon this world the direction we want it to go through wisdom? We have to choose which one of those it is. It's available to every single one of us. None of us have the incapacity lesser than another. We're all born with the same capacities. It's our choice of free will whether to use them or not. We develop slowly, but we will all ultimately develop to the same place. It's important we all understand we are one, we are equal, we are all divine. We'll all go to the same place when this is over. Our fractals came from the same place, and we're here for the same purpose, to ultimately help the other, not ourselves primarily. We're here to experience things and develop and expand through incarnational predetermined experiences and objectives. To do so, we have to interact with another. And we're here to help another, but as we help others, we actually help ourselves. So decide where we're going to go, because it's a critical moment in human life. The cycle which we progress forward is up to us. This is our world. It's ours. Collectively, all 7.x billion of us, is our world. And it's up to us to choose whether we allow egoistic intellectualism, which will create blindness, to real intention, or are we going to move to knowing, and then further on wisdom to direct our human experience to where it really needs to go, using technology for the enhancement and the supporting of our lives as we move forward, but not to become what we create. We are spiritual beings, and we are to remain this way, because we are and will always be far, far, far more greater, far greater than our creations. So thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Yet again, please share, like, subscribe to this video to any of those who you feel find this useful. Thanks again for listening to my videos, and subscribe to the channel for those who are. And have a great day, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Thanks so much. Bye bye. Love to you all.